So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 20 lesson system that I myself have used, and a lot of people I've worked with have used to go from $0 to $100,000 per year, or even $100,000 per month with their job, or just finally start that side hustle while working a job, right? So my name is Nick Guerrero, and I've sold $4 million using this same exact system that I'm gonna go over in my 13,000 square foot warehouse. And I own Amazon Success Network, which is a community where I've helped people sell $100,000 per year, per month on Amazon, be able to quit their job, and finally be able to start the e-commerce journey while working a job. So I'm not just going to talk about it, I'm actually going to show you the actual process, right? So the tools, the numbers, the decisions that I've made and that you're going to have to make, so that way you can see it both as a concept and as something you can actually execute. So like for instance, one of my students who I've been able to work with, Julian, was able to quit his job in just under 2 months and did over $100,000 in his first 90 days. Or Noah, who was working as an insurance salesperson and wanted to find a way to start a side hustle to then turn it into a business that will replace his job, right? And now he's doing over $100,000 per month. He has his own warehouse space in Miami. It really doesn't matter whatever situation you're in, whether it's no experience, no capital, or you're working a 9 to 5. I've already had a student exactly like you. I've been able to work with individuals in your position, and we built something real. So here are the 20 lessons. And right before we get into it, if you want to skip all of this and just work with me directly, right, you feel like you're ready to start your journey, the link is in the description. And every month I take on a limited number of students inside my community because, I can't be all over the place at once, but I personally guide them through this exact system, all the way from opening their Amazon account to making the first sale to then eventually scale up to 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever goals they have. So if that's you, click the link below and book a call with me. We'll look at your specific situation and I'll tell you exactly what I would do in your shoes and what's realistic for where you want to head to. If not, stay here because what I'm about to show you is everything. Lesson number 1, don't build a brand. You want to plug into something that already exists. The biggest mistake I see people make is that they think that they need to create a product, right? They think that they need to build a brand, run ads, get reviews, all of that. What I do is stupid simple. I buy brand name products that are already selling from different retailers like Target, Walmart, Costco, or their websites, and I sell them on Amazon listings that already exist. So again, these listings already have thousands of reviews, has the picture, the cool title SEO. It already sells thousands of units a month, 100 units a month. There's no listing to build, no ads to run, and no brand to create. So I just find the product and I buy it at the right price and plug in. So that's the business. Lesson number 2 is low risk, right? You always want to start with as low risk as possible. For instance, like when I started on Amazon, I tested before going all in. So I made $1,200 in my first week and I scaled from there, right? I didn't just dive deep and go crazy. That first initial process gave me the confidence to take even more risk, which is what led me to doing over $70,000 in 2 months and quitting my job in 3 months. So here's the thing. If you don't have proof, you don't have a business. You just have promises. So like, for instance, all the dozens of people that I've helped learn and teach this, my community have something in common. They start with low risk. You want to build that foundation and not jump the gun and dive deep. Lesson number 3 is working model. You want to be able to work with one model that works, right? And there are 4 ways to sell on Amazon. There's retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale, and private label. All of these models I've fully explained in my previous videos that you can go and watch, right? I have like a ton of information about each one and my experience in all of those models. But anyways, I'm going to be real with you about private label. It costs $5,000 to $15,000 before you make your first sale. So you build a listing from scratch, you run ads, chase reviews, and pray someone buys. I've seen people burn $35,000. So I personally wouldn't start there. Retail arbitrage, you go to Walmart, Target, Ross, Marshalls, and you find discounted products and you scan them with your Seller Amp app. And if the margin is there, right, like if you're profitable, you flip it on Amazon. That's how Juan and John were able to do $50,000 in under 91 days. They started with that process. Now, online arbitrage, same concept, literally just from your laptop, like, Target.com, Walmart.com, BestBuy.com. Julian used online to quit his job in under 2 months. And he was able to use that model to cross $100,000 in 3 months, right? And then when you build up your capital, you can eventually start working with distributors and wholesale, which is where I operate today with a mix of online. Lesson number 4 is one model, right? One channel until you hit $10,000 a month. I see this with too many people, right? They are 3 weeks in and they're already, doing RA, OA and thinking about wholesale and watching private label videos all at the same time. Like by all means is cool information, but you want to pick one model, right? And you want to get really good at that one model that you like, that you see works for you. So squeeze everything out of it before you look at anything else. And most people don't make money on Amazon, not because the platform doesn't work, but because they spread themselves way too thin with all this different information before they make the first sale or before they have even any traction. So focus is the whole game when you're starting out. Lesson number 5 is going to be handle losses. You have to handle losing money, honestly. Like, this is a real business. And most people that talk about this business don't want to bring this up. I don't know why, but it has real risk. Like, brands can kick you off listings overnight. Prices can tank. Products can get restricted. You can get stuck with inventory. Like, I myself, I've lost thousands of dollars on single products, right? More than once. But here's what makes Amazon FBA different. You can return those products, as simple as that is, right? Because we're buying from retailers. So all of these retailers have different return policies. If anything goes wrong, you can literally return it back to the retail store. I personally returned $14,000 worth of products in a single day. I walked into the store with some huge ass black bags with the products inside the bags. And I said, yo, give me my money back. It was kind of like the funniest, stupidest thing I've ever had to do in this business, but I'd rather go through that than get stuck with the inventory, right? So that safety net doesn't exist in private label, right? Like the manufacturer or whatever, like they're gonna be like, what the fuck? So this business rewards people who can stay calm when things go sideways. If you can do that, the upside is real, right? So just be okay with that part. Lesson number 6 is simple, right? There's proof and simplicity. For instance, when I talk about this, like Andres, who crossed 6 figures while working as a server, or Julian, again, did massive numbers early in the days without using his own money, or another student, Amin, who actually generated $120,000 in his first year, or Javi, who turned $1,000 into $58,000 a month. He actually has a spot here in warehouse, by the way. It's all the way in the back there. I'm pretty proud of Javi. He put up with a lot of his current environment and decided to make it happen regardless. Like, most people don't even start, right? Like, most people don't even do that. But anyways, just like those stories are real, your sales have to be real with real profits, real systems backed up behind it, right? Everything has to be simple enough to replicate, to trace, to calculate. If it's too complicated for you to even do anything in it, just like pick a new system, right? You keep things simple. Lesson number 7 is 3 filters for every product. I don't like to overcomplicate anything, right? So the 3 things I need from every product before I consider buying it is high or good enough demand, low or not too much competition, profitable margin, right? Like, high or good demand means the product already sells consistently, not occasionally, right? These aren't like seasonal items. And I can see exactly how many units that product sells on the listing per month. Low competition means the listing isn't flooded with sellers racing to the bottom, right? And where price could, be unprofitable. Profitable margins means after all Amazon fees, prep costs, and shipping, I walk away with money, right? Like, that's the whole point we're doing this. I don't move forward unless I'm at least 30% return on investment. And that's the 3 filters, right? That's it. Everything else is noise, at least when you're starting off in the beginning. Lesson number 8 is that there's 2 tools, Seller Amp and Keepa. That's it. That's all you need. We could all go home. We know Seller Amp and Keepa is all we need. Literally, like, you just want to focus on those 2 tools and then strive to hit $10,000 months using those 2 tools. Like, don't overcomplicate it and get a bunch of different softwares. With Seller Amp, you're able to see how much money you're making, right? And you want to be able to see the 30% return on investment. I wouldn't do anything under 30%. Sometimes you can have exceptions if you have a ton of capital, if you're wanting to move around, or maybe if you're building a relationship with a distributor or a supplier. Now, this other one is Keepa, right? With Keepa, you're able to see 3 or more months of consistent sales rank. You're able to see if a product has been selling stable or improving typically for at least 3 months. Later on, you will get an eye for brands or products that you can make a bet on, right? Like, I myself, I have a really good eye for things. I've seen a million different products, but all of that comes with experience. A product that spiked once and dropped is a trap if you don't know what you're looking at. So you need proven, repeatable demand. So just scan any product and instantly see estimated monthly sales, your net profit on Amazon after FBA fees, return on investment, percentage, buy box price, whether you're restricted or not, how many sellers are selling. These 2 softwares will pretty much get you there. So use this before you spend a single dollar. You then just want to pull the 6-month sales rank, and you're gonna be able to see the price history, and that shows you whether demand is good, right? Whether it's consistent, growing, or declining, and whether price has been been stable or volatile. After checking a 90-day window, seeing that it's stable within the $2, $3 price, you know it's safe, right? If it's dropped a lot within the last 30 days, you want to walk away. Never buy a product without ensuring these metrics first, right? Lesson number 9 is always make a test buy. Never go all in on an untested product. I don't care how good the numbers look. Like, I really don't care. If I've never sold a product before, I buy very conservative. I do that at first to see how much it ends up selling, right? So if it sells great, no problem. I double down immediately, right? I don't lose anything. If it doesn't, then I end up, missing out on way less of an inventory that's selling slow at speeds, or if price drops, I end up losing on way less on inventory costs than I normally would if I would have gone deeper. With retail or online, you have a safety net, right? You can, usually return the products to the store or website if anything could happen. That safety net does disappear in wholesale and private label. Now with wholesale, you could potentially do that with a couple, but you're going to burn that relationship. It does not look good whatsoever. But when you find a winner product, right, you want to move fast, right? Immediately. Just like starting anything, you want to take actions fast and start. Even more when you are building. You want to be all about taking action, right? If it makes sense. So lesson number 10 is going to be managing pricing across all your listings. And this actually makes you more money. So here's the math. I had a product in one of my stores where everyone was trying to sell it super cheap, right? It's super fast at low prices because it does sell fast. And people were selling out very fast. And I decided to hold my price higher. And even though I wasn't selling as fast in the beginning, holding back made me an extra $10 per unit. And I ended up selling 100 of them. So I basically made an extra $1,000 just by holding my price higher. Also, this goes as well for, products where I see a ton of sellers jump on immediately faster than I expected them to. And they just start trying to lower their prices. So then I'll go ahead and just lower my price and get out while I'm still even, barely profitable at that point. Then wait until a price hits the floor and then sell for a break even or loss. See, this is very important. Again, the link is in the description and it's a free application to see where you are right now in your journey and how you are set up, right? It just takes 3 minutes to fill out. And if you qualify, you'll get access to book a one-on-one call with me or my team. And that way we can have a pretty good understanding of where it is that you are right now and where it is that you could be at on your first 30 days on Amazon, right? How that should look like. If not, stay here. We got 10 more lessons to go. So lesson number 11 is that you need a system. You can't touch every product and do 7 figures. Like in this warehouse, if this 13,000 square foot warehouse, if I didn't have a system, I would go fucking crazy. I wouldn't know where anything is. So I have a system built to where my employees can efficiently receive, prep, and ship out my products on my behalf. But you don't need a warehouse or to even prep it yourself. Like, you don't. You don't need a big warehouse. You can work with a prep center that can receive your inventory from stores, from websites, or distributors, right? Like wherever it is that you bought it from, they'll go ahead and receive it, label it, package it, and ship it directly to Amazon's fulfillment centers. This is without you touching any of the inventory or being there. I actually did this model for 6 months. I was living in Brickell in Miami, driving my McLaren, partying, being an absolute degenerate, and the prep center was doing everything. Pretty fun times. But now what happens is when Amazon gets their products, Amazon will then ship out the product to the customer for you, right? So they're gonna handle all the customer service, all the returns. You basically just get paid and reinvest, right? So that's the system. Once you understand this, you understand why Amazon FBA is the most scalable business that I've ever built. There's other systems in play when you continue it, but at the most simple level, that's what it is. So lesson number 12 is 10x what's already working. So every time I look at a business, the first question I ask is, why can't we just literally grow or 10x what we're currently doing, right? And 2 out of the 3 times is we could. We just haven't, right? Because we're bored and we want to look at a bunch of other shit. Most sellers, the moment something starts working, they get bored, right? They want to try a new model. They want to try a new product type, a whole different category or whatever. Don't, right? When something works on Amazon, specifically in your business, right? Beat the living hell out of it. Squeeze every last drop before you even look at something else. The reason the new thing looks easier is because you literally don't know how hard it is, right? You don't know anything about it and everything is hard, right? The grass is greener on the other side always. You just haven't met the hard parts of the new thing yet. So what you want to do is you also want to improve what's already working before scaling it, because it's much harder trying to optimize when you're already all scaled up, right? When you already have more inventory in play, more products that you've ordered, more virtual assistants. With less orders, less inventory, it's much more manageable. Trust me. Lesson number 13 is virtual assistants and cashback. Right now, I have 4 virtual assistants. 2 of them source products for me 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, while I'm at the gym, while I'm with my family, while I'm focusing on growing my business, right? Not really necessarily spending time in it, but more so like on it. When you have a really good understanding on sourcing and have stuff kind of organized and enough capital, then it's time for you to scale up and start working and getting a virtual assistant within your Amazon store. So a virtual assistant is someone who is living in another country. For me, all my virtual assistants are in the Philippines and they're pretty much running my entire Amazon store for me. But you want to give them whatever role or work inside your business, which in my opinion, the first role should be a product sourcer, since that is a money-driven role. You are essentially paying them to make you more money. They can also be doing admin tasks, right? So not just sourcing when there's downtime, they could do admin tasks, but that's all up to you to decide. And when you keep scaling, you will just keep adding more into your company, create different departments. And this part is all up to you, right? Because it's your business. Now, the cashback hack. There are extensions out there that will give you additional cashback on your purchases from these different websites or retail stores. Aside from your credit cards, right? There have been times where I have had an additional 20% cashback on my purchases. And you know, these products were already profitable. Like they were already making me a lot of money. One example, $15,000 worth of inventory on them, where the products were 40% return on investment. I was getting an additional $3,000 just for purchasing the product. Now, this is on an extreme basis, that example I just gave you, but even on smaller examples, you can get cash back that compound, right? 5%, 6%, 3%. This is cool because it's free money. Now, lesson number 14 is repricer. So the repricer runs while you sleep. 82% of the sales come from the buy box. Once your inventory lands at Amazon, you're competing for the buy now button, which is the buy box. Again, 82% of all Amazon sales come through it. So you want to make sure that you're trying to get it. Now, 2 things win it primarily. Being FBA, which means prime eligible, and having a competitive price. So most beginners manually reprice. That means you're spending hours, sometimes days, where competitors have the buy box and you don't because they have a repricer. So this can hurt your sales in the long run when you are scaling up and you want to have one in place. Now, mine is adjusting my prices automatically, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You know, I play around with some of the settings, right? But I let it work, right? There are settings built in the platform that I use in which I'm able to customize and set rules, which I think is pretty cool, right? Because products can be different. Now, lesson number 15 is revenue and profit, right? Know your numbers, not your revenue, like your actual profit. And here's how people trick themselves. They look at Amazon and, you know, they see like the orange bars, they see so much money and think it's all their money. Well, it is, but it's not. Amazon takes fees, right? You have prep costs, shipping, refunds, storage fees, any other fees that you may encounter, like my warehouse here. So I use Sellerboard. It tracks my real profitability after every single fee, every refund, every cost, and it tells me which products are actually making me money and which ones I think are making me money, but they're actually kind of shitty. So this has also showed me how much I could mess up or I have messed up. And there's been a lot of times where this was like a real wake-up call and times where it's been just showing me like, yo, don't worry, you're making money. So without this, you might work, you know, 3 months thinking you're scaling and then realize, you know, your margins are pretty much getting eaten by all these different fees that you have. Your overhead is too high. So know your numbers, track them obsessively. Lesson number 16 is reinvest. Don't be dumb and spend it all on BS. See, you see this is where most sellers stall, right? They make their first sales and they're excited. You know, they saw how much money they made and then they spend it, you know, on the car, the apartment, the girlfriend, boyfriend, gifts, the lifestyle before the business can actually support it. You see, I made this mistake very early and I look back now and I'm like, the fuck was I thinking? You know, like why? Just no, don't do it. The sellers who go from first sale to 6 figures and then 7 figures, you know, eventually 8 figures are the ones who understand one thing. Every dollar of profit that goes back into inventory is another dollar that generates profit for the following month, right? So that is how Javi was able to start with only $1,000 and eventually grew to now doing over $50,000 per month, right? And he's actually about to scale super hard this year, in which he might be, you know, he's probably going to be doing 6-figure months, right? $100,000 per month very soon. But the real growth doesn't come from spending the money you're making, right? So whatever money you have in the beginning, it comes from, you know, getting the money back, right? Mostly in the beginning. Most importantly in the beginning, you don't have a ton of funding. So reinvesting the entire amount, getting more from your, your day job, investing that, getting more funding from your business or personal credit, investing that, reinvesting that as well. And then letting all that credit turn into cash plus profit, reinvesting everything. Before you know it, like your cash flow will start growing and you'll see the real power when you buy products that are 30% return on investment at least, right? Sometimes I'm buying products that are 60% return on investment, sometimes even more. And it compounds, right? And this is why I was able to sell $4 million and why so many people I've worked with are able to do tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars per month, right? Reinvesting. So just lock in, right? Forget about the condo and the supercar right now. Time to scale. And that brings me to lesson number 17, which is leverage credit. So this is the one almost nobody teaches or has any idea about, and it changed everything for me. See, I've been in the capital space for 3 years, and I've actually helped business owners get $1.7 million in capital, which most have been able to use for the e-commerce business. Most of these individuals sell on Amazon or, again, other e-com businesses, and they use that capital for their stores. Now, I did $70,000 in sales my first 59 days without basically using none of my own money. I only used $700 of my own money. It was all business credit cards that have 0% interest in those cards that I was able to use. And these are financial tools that let you buy inventory now and then pay later without the profits from that same inventory. And I've been able to help Julian, for instance, get over $200,000 in capital, or Javi over $60,000, or Juan and John over $60,000. And guess what they did with it? They bought products to sell on Amazon, right? And then they reinvested the money and, continue compounding. So, we have a lot of work to do. Anyways, your goal should be able to start with whatever money you have and eventually get the confidence after your first month or 2 months to then leverage credit to get funding to skyrocket your Amazon store. Another thing I want to note, and I want to be very clear, is that this is not a deal breaker. Like I mentioned, Javi starting with $1,000, but it wasn't almost until a year later he was able to get a good amount of funding. He was just reinvesting all the money he was making. So you don't need to have a shit ton of capital to start, but to scale to the moon, of course, like you want to have the funding and the amount of money, but it's more important to know what you are doing than to have that capital. Like I myself, I'd rather always be the person that has much less capital and knows what I'm doing than someone with much more capital and has no idea what the hell they're doing, right? They're going to lose that money. Lesson number 18 is stress. Everything in life is stressful, right? Business is stressful, working a job is stressful, scaling your way to $1 million a month inside a warehouse is stressful, trying to get promoted at your job is stressful, right? You just have to learn to handle the stress and take things day by day. We have a lot to do, but we only have 24 hours in a day. And I myself, being in the circles that I'm in and talking with numerous 8-figure and even 9-figure entrepreneurs, I've learned that in business, a lot has to do with being in there day by day and building that, entire ecosystem you have without going crazy. Also, you lose when you quit. So growth is stressful, right? And stop looking for a sign that something's wrong when you get stressed. The stress is most of the time a sign that you're building something real. Shit's hard. Lesson number 19 is build relationships with people in spaces that doesn't just include other e-commerce business owners or other Amazon, owners or business owners in general, right? Not just people that are like you. Build relationships with the suppliers you're buying from, the UPS delivery guy, the software you use, where you buy your supplies from. A lot of sellers are used to being behind a computer or not dealing with people in general, or very often at all, because they honestly don't have to. Like I myself, I don't have to talk to anybody, right? I'm always like behind my computer, but it only benefits you building and creating relationships where you are in. For instance, if you're doing retail arbitrage, a store manager who knows you is a store manager who calls you when there's a clearance or when there's a discount coming up before it even hits the sales floor, before anyone has access to it. You see, that's not luck. That's relationship capital. And it compounds the same way money does, right? Lesson 20 is the account, right? Your Amazon account is your asset. It's your most valuable asset. So you need to treat it that way. All of it runs through one thing, and that is your Amazon seller account. You lose that, you lose everything. You can't sell. So you need to keep your account healthy, right? Any violations you have, resolve those violations immediately. Never cut corners on sourcing documentation, right? Have really good SOPs. The sellers who last long term are the ones who protect their accounts like it's a business. So there's 20 lessons, right? And that's the system. And this is not to take the credit from any individuals that I've worked with, because in the end, and I mean, shit, I'll even add this as lesson number 21. It's to actually go and do it, right? So Julian, Javi, Noah, and all the dozen of others of individuals I worked with and still work with didn't just consume content and go on with their lives, right? They decided to actually, take the first step, that it was time for them to start working towards whatever goal they had. They essentially decided, it was time for them to start on their journey, because it's a journey, right? Like the 4 million I've sold did not happen overnight. It all started with a thought. I've talked about it in other videos. I got pretty much denied a promotion in my job and I want to find a way to replace it. I made that thought possible, right? So, and if you want to go ahead and start fastering your journey and you want me to personally walk you through every step and make sure you're not making the mistakes that cost most sellers months, then click the description and book a call with me. Again, on that call, we'll look at your specific situation and I'll let you know exactly how you'd be able to start and how long it would take for you to make your first sales, the entire process, right? I'll be there throughout there guiding you. So yeah, let's continue growing.